Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Monday, April 14th, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can, Cash App $ ORIONNWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got WWE Monday Night Raw live on Netflix, and this is the last Monday Night Raw until we get into WrestleMania this weekend. I can't wait. So let's get buckled in for some wrestling here on Monday night. Let's get it. And obviously, I had to hit you with the OTC, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins on the right, and one of my favorite ladies, Liv Morgan. Let's freaking go. Should be an exciting week of wrestling, a little bit of build-up as we get into WrestleMania, which also falls on Easter. But again, the events are going to start at 4 p.m. Pacific on both days, and I will visit family, but I will be back in time to make sure I do WrestleMania Day 1 and Day 2. And obviously, sometimes, the Mariners are going to have to be put on the back burner, especially when you end up having an event as big as WWE WrestleMania. Let's go. Daniel in the building. What's good? And we are about to get started. A good 2.5 hours of wrestling here on Monday night. Let's get it. And the card is starting to shape up pretty nicely. Triple H has done a fantastic job taking over for Vince McMahon. And again, wrestling is, I don't want to say it's been at its peak, but again, the closest to what we have from the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars with Raw and Nitro going head to head, and having ECW with RVD and Sabu, I really feel 95 to 99 was the peak. And this is probably the closest we've been to that. We are in Vegas here tonight at Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. And again, we got a lot of cool things coming up here in the next few weeks, right? We got the NFL draft coming up. We got WrestleMania this weekend. And I'm definitely excited to see what we get here today. Britt in the building, Daniel in the building. What's good? And I'm glad you got a chance to be able to be outside and enjoy the good weather with Colton and obviously your pup. Me and Paisley got some good walks early in today, and we got one more, but it's probably the hottest it's been here so far in Oregon, about 70 degrees, as we see Jay Uso walk down the steps. And hopefully we end up having a good show today. We'll be doing Mariners on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that'll obviously be against the Cincinnati Reds on the road. LA De La Cruz we'll obviously do Friday with the Blue Jays on the road in Toronto, and then Saturday and Sunday I'll watch the Mariners with Paisley, but we're going to be doing WrestleMania Day 1 and Day 2 on Saturday and Sunday. Let's go. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Monday. Roman Reigns, the OTC, Seth Rollins, and Liv Morgan on the thumb. Let's go. Okay, Paul Heyman, the Advocate. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out as well. And I like the way that they've been using Seth, as part of the angle as well, not just CM Punk. So, kind of makes you wonder and, kind of keep you on your toes a little bit on where his allegiance are going to stand after Mania. All right, Monday Night Raw live from Vegas, and now they're just doing a little review from last Monday. Gunther going against Jay. Not really the best matchup for both of those wrestlers, but, it's like you'd rather see someone like Jay go out against someone maybe a little bit more athletic, and then maybe Gunther go against someone a little bit more his size. But when the belt is on the line, sometimes you'll end up having a big guy versus not necessarily a little guy, because I don't consider Jay little, but, kind of a middle-sized, middle of the card kind of guy, even though they're trying to main event him. And he's definitely taking it to the next steps and the next level, it seems like, with Jey Uso. Yeet. And we'll be shooting for 20 likes, obviously, within the first hour, hour and a half. Should be about a 2.5-hour show, and obviously 100 in the donos on every single stream. And it was either really this or maybe doing the Dodgers and the Rockies at 7 p.m. Pacific, but figured we'd go with wrestling. And we've been doing quite a few Monday Night Raws. They were on their European tour, and that's over now. And a very exciting time, 1 week away from WrestleMania. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee here on the mic. And leading the show off, I assume some kind of promo and shit talking by Gunther. The ring general, Mr. Generic. And I don't think anyone would really be that upset if he ends up dropping the belt at Mania. Not a very good talker on the mic. You know, obviously a physical wrestler, could wrestle in any era, but just doesn't really do it for me. If I'm going to go and root for a big guy, you know, it'll be a guy like Drew McIntyre rather than a guy like this.
So I was expecting this a little bit later on tonight, but Governor, let's just get to it. 2 weeks ago, you let Jey Uso's brother Jimmy bloody.
I got Michael Cole in the ring.
And he caused Jey Uso to march down here last week. Different person last week.
Live in Sacramento, not Vegas.
He looked me in the eye, and he told me that he's not affected me with it. Last week, Jey came down here.
The Boo Birds are out in Sacramento. Damn, he's getting booed like Logan Paul. And it's not even really because he's a heel. He's just not that entertaining. I mean, even if they were going to do something like him and Drew, it would be better than him and Jay, but still, you know, I don't think it's going to steal the show. I mean, but just besides the fact if Jay gets the belt. But as far as like the match itself, not the ending, you know, I don't think anyone's really going to be too invested. And it's funny when you get guys that try to be like super heel and they're already kind of that way, but it doesn't really resonate with the fans. You know, it's like no matter what he says, whether he's a face or heel, nobody cares. And that's, you know, a big part of wrestling. Anybody can wrestle, but not everyone can spit on the mic and resonate with the fans. This almost feels like you know, like a Vince McMahon guy rather than a Triple H guy.
Put your chest out. Walk into WrestleMania with more confidence in your head. Because it's gold better. At the end of the day, the bell has to ring. And when that happens, you still can't lace my boots. I will still put you down for a fourth consecutive time.
Like Gunther to me is a guy that, he needs like early in his, career where he had like kind of a stable and he had like a faction with him. That's really the only way people kind of pay attention. But him just by himself, with generic ring gear and generic mic skills, it ain't going to cut it. Because, I mean, if we really think about it, if he didn't have gold around his waist, like, is anyone really, paying attention or caring? And it's just the fact that you're hoping that he drops the gold, not keeps it.
2 weeks ago, when I took a bath in your brother's blood, I was in full control and I loved it. Jay, I want you to go pray to the Lord. Thank Him that I was in control 2 weeks ago. Because it wouldn't have been.
There's my boy. What's good, brother? Gunther, Mr. Generic. He's getting booed like Logan Paul. Mike skill's not good. You're a pretty good wrestler. I'll give you that. But again, if I was going to go for a big guy, it'd be Drew McIntyre. And it really does show you that, you have to be able to, resonate with the audience and spit on the mic. And just because you're a good wrestler or a physical wrestler and you could have wrestled in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or now. But again, some guys have the it factor and some don't, and, some guys have a great theme. Some don't. Some guys need a stable or a tag partner. Some don't. And he's definitely one of those guys that can't ride alone. When he obviously had a stable behind him, people paid attention a little bit more. But to me, he's one of the most boring aspects of what WWE has with gold at the moment. So, yeah, he's getting better on the mic, but he's no Drew McIntyre, And again, I don't think the crowd really cares, I mean, even if it wasn't him going against Jay, it just doesn't really do it for me. Very generic, doesn't really have a gimmick, theme song isn't very good. Can't really spit on the mic. I mean, he can talk on the mic, but the fans don't care whether he's a face or a heel or what he says. He just doesn't have the it factor. He's like a Vince guy more than like a Triple H guy. And now they're showing SmackDown from last Friday, and it's nice to be able to see the female division really take some big strides within the last few years. The talent level has never been better. And that's what I say, anybody can wrestle, but if you can't spit on the mic and resonate with the fans and be, someone that is believable and genuine and you can resonate with the fans a type of way as a face or a heel and have the it factor, as we have Liv Morgan coming down to the ring, one of my favorites, on the thumb as well. One-on-one, I think, against Bayley here. I did not get a chance to see that. And I haven't got a chance to watch your Steiner's video that you sent me on YouTube, but I'll try to get a chance to watch it later tonight. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. But definitely stoked about Mania. And again, there's not going to be too many things that I'm going to put ahead of the Mariners when we're in the regular season, but I will be doing WrestleMania Day 1 and Day 2 over the Blue Jay games. I will watch those, Blue Jays and Mariners, but we will cover the Blue Jays on Friday. But Saturday and Sunday is exclusively for Mania, and I will be back from my dad's place on Sunday on Easter before 4 o'clock, and I'll make sure I get settled in, and we'll be actually live streaming Mania on Day 1 and Day 2. And I might consider doing Talladega over a Mariner game as well. There's not going to be too many tracks that I think that I would, do over the Mariners, but I definitely love Talladega, so we may end up doing that as well. But my goal is to do 150 out of the 162 games in the regular season, and I haven't even missed one yet. So, yeah, I figured it was from the WCW channel.
Ain't that right, Chuck GPT? Yeah, correct. Well, top 5 for sure. You are 19th on the all-time list. Hey, what about?
And we don't have a whole lot of matches that are going to be on the card today, but I figured this would be a chance to hang out, watch some wrestling for a couple hours, and hang, for a little bit. And really, it was either this or doing the Dodgers and Rockies at 7. But the Dodgers have been kind of on a skid, and I know they're going to play better against the Rockies, but that's just kind of a late matchup, 7 o'clock start, which would have been 9 for the Midwest, 10 for the East Coast. So I will end up doing a Dodger game or two for my dad this season, but just not today.
And then before you know it, you're watching drinks. At Credit One Bank, we believe having the credit and rewards for little moments today can lead to even bigger ones tomorrow. Get 5% cash back on everyday purchases, like apps, with the Credit One Bank Platinum X5 Visa Signature. One Bank for what's ahead.
And obviously we have a week off, after Bristol just got over with, and again, Talladega won't be this weekend. It'll be the following weekend. And, I'll probably end up doing that. Then after that, we got Texas, Kansas, the All-Star race, and then Charlotte, Nashville, Michigan, Mexico City, Pocono, Atlanta, Chicago Street, which is kind of a cool race. Sonoma, Dover, Indy, Iowa, Watkins Glen, Richmond, Daytona, which I'll probably do on August 23rd. So, out of all the races that are left, it'll probably be Talladega twice and then Daytona, when we end up doing the stream. So, yeah, we'll see on how they decide to, go about it and whatnot. And obviously, one-on-one wouldn't have worked, whether it was Io Sky versus, Bianca Belair based on her earning it. One-on-one matches, I mean, sometimes, depending on who it is, you might be able to sell it, based on the feud, like, maybe like a Tiffy versus Charlotte Flair. That kind of has a normal one-on-one build-up, and they're similar in style. But when you get one wrestler that's kind of small and athletic, and then you get a wrestler that's kind of bigger and physical, a lot of times that's a recipe for disaster, even if the small wrestler Io Sky is athletic. So you end up adding that third individual, and Rhea Ripley, and then you end up having some double team moves, and it'll end up being more exciting as a triple threat rather than a one-on-one. Even Io versus Ripley wouldn't be good, in my opinion. So I think for those type of wrestlers, Ripley is the one that can hang by herself, and I guess Bianca, depending on the opponent, she can hang by herself on a one-on-one opponent if it was like, her and Charlotte Flair or something of that nature. But, you want to make sure that the buildup is good. And again, if the buildup isn't fully there, then sometimes you got to add a third piece to the match just to make sure that, you keep your eyeballs glued, obviously to the product. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm ready for other wrestlers to kind of get a chance too. It's kind of cool that Io has, had this reign, even if it's short term, but can't wait for Asuka to come back. I'm not sure when Becky Lynch will be coming back, but I would love for Asuka to be able to have her WrestleMania moment. I feel like she's been probably the most disrespected female in the business based on her skill set, because on her skill set, she's like top 3 based on skills in the ring, but she really hasn't been able to get the proper push or the gold. And I know she'll get the gold before she retires, but I would love to have it happen where, she's still in her kind of prime rather than her farewell tour. So, but everyone else has been able to get kind of their fair shot, so to speak. But I feel, Asuka with the bad luck with the injuries, it'd be cool for her to have the gold for, and I don't assume that she'll have the gold for like a year, or 2 years or something like that. But it would be cool for at least like a 3 to 6 month reign. And then if they decided to really give her the love and appreciation and give her like a year run, that would be awesome. But with so much competition in the female circuit and so many up and coming females, that may be unlikely. So, but again, the talent level on the females is incredible, man. If you go back to the Divas era, even with like Trish and Lita, and Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson, and then you look at, based on how the women, kind of look like models, and some of them were pretty good wrestlers and others were maybe average. Now, you're getting all different types of looks, all different types of sizes and shapes, races from all over the globe. And again, they're so skilled now. And, and a lot of them are getting better on the microphone as well. And it's kind of an exciting time. This is the best wrestling era since the Attitude Era, the Monday Night War era, and the ECW era from 95 to 99. Triple H is cooking. And again, I'll still watch AEW, and I'll still, keep up with some of the other federations that are out there. But make no mistake, WWE reigns supreme.
Sunday, Io Sky, no champion's advantage, defending against Bianca Belair and the Eradicator Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, but I think just the simple fact that they gave her gold when they didn't need to give her gold, we have to be happy about that. Again, also being a Japanese wrestler, Asuka and Shinsuke never really got the full push that maybe they deserved when they were coming up in the ranks, and Shinsuke got some, gold, as of late recently, but they should have gave it to him when he was kind of on his high, push in the very beginning, and they didn't. And, sometimes you got to wait your turn, so to speak. And we got Bayley and Liv here one-on-one here in Sacramento. And I feel also with Io, since English is her second language, that's another kind of barrier because she can't really spit on the mic like some of these other American, wrestlers. So again, if your English is your first language and you can spit on the mic, then obviously you have a huge advantage to kind of gain with the audience, and people love her high flying style, but she can't really, English is her second language. So she can't really connect with everyone. There's going to be certain people that admire her, her skill set in the ring. But again, if you can't spit on the mic for a female or a male, you're going to be at a disadvantage. And that's just the plain truth. I mean, I'm half Japanese myself. And, I understand, that, the English barrier is going to be something that, is going to be going against her. But we have to be happy that at least that she got the gold. Because think about it. I mean, they definitely didn't have to give her the gold. She could have went her whole career with nothing. So, just a simple fact that they recognized her, to me, that's a win. Even if it was only short term, even for a night, you win it on a pay-per-view, PLE, you lose it on Raw the next day. At least you got it, for a day. And thankfully, they didn't do that to her as we got Liv and Bayley in the ring now. Yeah, kind of have to, wait your turn. They have, different storylines that they have to build up. And there's going to be times where Liv will be, in consideration of the main event at Mania for the women's match. And then there's going to be times where, she'll have to be a tag team or she'll have to have a match against someone that might be, mid card or, the buildup may not be the same. So, I mean, you're not going to be able to have the same people main eventing every year. You're going to want to mix it up no matter how big or popular that individual is, You got to keep it fresh. You got to keep it exciting, and you got to keep it unpredictable. And Triple H has been able to do that. I mean, we've seen more belt drops on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT than ever. Like normally it's like we know who's going to win. We just don't know how they're going to win, right? And that was like in the Vince McMahon era. But now we don't really know who's going to win or how they're going to win. And sometimes we get surprised with a belt drop, on a Raw or SmackDown or NXT. And that's very, rare for, the Vince McMahon era. And in the Triple H era, it's not going to be every Monday night, right? But again, it's been a little bit more common where, it makes you want to tune into the shows, and that's why they're doing it. You're not going to just have to wait for the PLE. They're trying to capture kids and adults that like, hey, if you don't watch Raw this week, you might miss the belt change. So you're more invested in the product overall, and that's a smart thing there by Triple H and company. 2.
14,158 on hand for the final Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania. The Golden One Center in the capital of California, Sacramento.
Yeah, I think Io retaining, would be cool. I'm not sure if they would write that into the storyline though, but it would be cool if they decided to go that particular route. But sometimes you want to be able to have your, best wrestlers with the gold at some point or another. And Ripley, to me, is the best female, overall on the microphone, in the ring, selling, and not to, have a certain type of look. Like, she doesn't look like someone that models for a magazine or anything like that. She's got that kind of emo goth look, but it works. And if you saw what she looked like when she first came up to where she has developed that character now, it's awesome. And, I think that's a person that definitely deserves to have gold. And I realize that, others are going to be deserving as well. But, you're typically going to want your main stars with gold more times than not. So, yeah. And again, no Sami Zayn so far at this point. Wyatt 6, no WrestleMania, moment. So, and obviously with the Alexa Bliss, I think if, Bo Dallas never got hurt, maybe we would have had something cooking. Oh, What a clean suplex there from Liv to Bailey off the steps, even on the pad. Okay. 6 Bliss angle. I hope so. I mean, and it's not going to, I mean, especially if we're going to make each show a little bit longer, if it's going to be like a 4-hour show, they can squeeze in a little segment or, it doesn't have to be long. Anybody can have their WrestleMania moment, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes. Some of the big boys and the top, men and women are going to have, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what it is in the event. But, you can squeeze in, moments, I guess even in the pre-show. I mean, if as long as it's part of Mania. So, yeah, I think Owens and Orton would have been really interesting, but again, we'll have to kind of wait and see. You still got Rusev coming in, obviously coming back from AEW, Aleister Black. So there are some individuals that are available to start, kind of like, something kind of last minute, but they may not, just based on, wanting to rush things. Because obviously people aren't going to be as invested, because there's no storyline. Again, it's just like, you're going to watch it and you're going to enjoy it because it's Randy Orton and he's one of the best of all time. But again, there's no buildup. Like, how much buildup can we have in 1 week? Like, again, we'll watch the match and we'll enjoy it because Randy is Randy. But again, as far as like investment, of like the buildup of the match, hard to be able to build something up in a week or less. So, yeah. And kind of a damn shame that Britt Baker didn't work out there, in AEW, but that could be another piece that they could add on, obviously in WWE as well. Yeah. Or they just leave him off the card, It's like, it's as far as like legacy is concerned, you know what I mean? You could always make Randy a special guest referee. There's always little things that they could kind of pitch. And obviously him having a match, would make the most sense, but there's no buildup. So again, you kind of have to pivot, and they'll have to decide what's going to be the best, angle that's going to work, even if it might not be something that every party agrees with at the time. So, but Kevin Owens and Randy Orton would have been awesome. Yeah, I don't really follow a lot of the the relationships, that go on, again, if it comes up on my timeline and I know about it, but as far as I know, they broke up a long time ago and they're not together anymore and they haven't been for quite some time. Yeah. Well, that's the particular angle that they wanted to go. Chad Gable, to me, is one of the best up and coming, stars in the company. He kind of reminds me of like, the Sami Zayn come up with the bloodline. Chad Gable's mic skills have probably increased more than any wrestler in the business. Like if you look at where his mic skills were years ago and where they're at now, and obviously a good ring performer. Now it's just about finding the right storyline and feud, for him, instead of him being like the front man of a faction or being a luchador, instead of using him kind of as like a joke, it would be cool to be able to see him, like one-on-one in a match like Chad Gable, Sami Zayn would be great one-on-one. They would be able to put on a show and I think the crowd would be invested, but it's up to them to be able to come up with the matches. 2. That's him. They tried to make it like it was Rey Fenix earlier, but it's him. Bailey caught. Liv, seeing if she can flip her over. No good counter there. 2. Ooh, big high knee there by Bailey. Oh. Sunset flip into the turnbuckle. 2. We got Liv and Bayley in the ring here in Sacramento, the last Monday Night Raw in Netflix as we go into WrestleMania this weekend. Should be exciting. Yeah. It's a little early for Dom to be winning a belt, but I mean, he has been getting better and better. And obviously we'll see, and let's be real, the Judgment Day isn't the same without Ripley or Priest. That's what made Judgment Day cool. Now Judgment Day is kind of a laughing stock. It's like, yeah, it's a faction, but it's not cool anymore. It's just like they got random people here and there, but I don't really think it has the same kind of value as it did before. So it's not really must-see TV, with that particular faction anymore. At least not for me. So, but yeah, Dom will end up getting a belt at some time, but I'm not sure if it will be, this year. And he's gotten considerably better, from his, obviously heel turn, going from face to heel and growing out his hair and having a new look and not being a baby face anymore. But as far as like in the ring skill, I don't think he's there yet. He still has got quite a ways to go. I mean, he's been getting better, and obviously he gets a good crowd response and whatnot. They vibe with Dom now, but as far as like in the ring skill set, he's got a long ways to go, especially on the microphone as well too. And that's a problem. If Dom is the best thing on Judgment Day, that shows you how shitty they are. If that's the best thing that's going, Finn is boring. You got Liv and Raquel, you got Carlito, then you ended up having an injury, to one of their others, but it's kind of a dead faction. 2. Like Liv and Dom are probably the best thing about the faction now, and that's not really saying a whole lot. Oh, big boot by Raquel. Oh, big forearm there by Bayley. Oh, backstabber by Liv. Should be over now. Lyra. Oh, and whoa. Nice victory there by Bayley. Yeah, I could definitely see Liv turn on Dom, be with Finn, and then he gets, kicked out of the group or something like that. But then that might be the time where Dom can go on a singles run or figure out a tag partner or, something, But again, Dom is still one of those guys that kind of needs a faction to kind of grow. He still hasn't, fully got to that point. But if they think that, he's ready, but we'll see where it goes. Oh, Dom is not better than Jay in the ring. No way. Not even close. Jay may not be one of your favorites, but no, not even close. Jay and Jimmy and the Usos have been wrestling for a long, long, long time. Dom's been barely wrestling. Like I said, Dom is, look at Dom's moveset. Like it's not the greatest, and he's not like the smoothest in the ring either. And he can't talk on the mic. And obviously Jay has issues kind of talking on the mic as well. He's not the greatest there, but yeah, I don't think I would go that far. That seems like more of just like you don't like Jay Uso and you want Dom to win the belt. But I don't think anyone would agree with you on that statement. Dom is not better than Jay. Not at this point. Maybe one day he will be on the Jay level or better, but not yet. Too early. But, everyone is entitled to an opinion. I've been watching since, 1985. So not sure if you've been watching as long as me, but, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but he ain't better than Jay at this point. Yeah, but the thing is that's true. But what does Dom do? You can't even name like one thing that Dom does. Like if you ask most people, like, what does Dom do? Like, does he actually have like a finisher that everyone remembers? A memorable theme song. A certain type of gimmick. Like Dom doesn't really have anything to make him stand out yet. Besides being in the faction. And yeah, it may not be the moves that you like to see. With the spears and the super kicks and the splash and the yeeting, but he's over. And, obviously that's not just based on recently. It's been, based on his entire career and the buildup, as well as being with the bloodline and then, what we have now. So, again, sometimes movesets, aren't going to be for everyone. It's like with Roman Reigns and the spear. The spear is kind of played out. Like not a lot of people, enjoy the Goldberg, Roman Reigns, Rhino, or whoever else, uses a spear. It's kind of a lame move if we're being, real, and whatnot. And, he's got the Superman punch and a few other things. But again, that's, really what makes you understand that, there's certain guys that are really good wrestlers and they can do many, many, many different moves. And have that skill set, and others only have a couple, that they're kind of known for and whatnot. But I'm just trying to do it from, a non-biased perspective where I'm just looking at the entire talent in the business. So. I mean, for me, I like, people that are going to be athletic, again, a great skill set, and they have to be great on the microphone. If you're not great on the mic, you're not for me, I mean, because if you think it's just about wrestling, 90%, 10% on the mic, then that's AEW. And even then, they're not, 3 times better than anybody in WWE. Like, I love Will Ospreay, and he's great in the ring, and he would be great in WWE. But again, if you can't spit on the mic, that's a big, big part of what wrestling is. Yeah, that was probably one of the best spears of all time. But again, unless you have like an aura and you can't spit on the mic, like Brock Lesnar might be like the one guy, obviously Paul Heyman is there for a reason because he's a great talker, but again, unless you have the aura of someone that could do like MMA, WWE, and actually looks like they could really hurt somebody, like genuinely, like Brock Lesnar, then it's going to sell because it feels genuine. But when you try to force it, or you can't talk on the mic, then, people are not stupid, And now we got the LWO making their way with Rey Mysterio. Love me some Dragunov. But again, that's why, wrestling is great because there's so many fans and, you're going to be able to, have your own favorites. Not everyone is going to be a fan of the same type of guys, And sometimes you can appreciate the individuals that aren't there yet, that are mid-card, low-card, that are kind of being, pushed to the side, but you can see some potential in them, maybe down the road. Like for me, bigs in wrestling, my favorite is Drew McIntyre. You guys might have someone else that you like that's better, but to me, he's the best in the ring and on the mic. And again, he gives you that aura and vibe without even trying, and he's got the accent, but he speaks English good enough where it's not like you can't understand what he's saying, great on the microphone, the best big man on the mic, period. And there hasn't been very many guys that have been good on the mic that have been big. Kevin Nash was good, back in his day. But Drew is the man right now. And then as far as, people in the ring. Some guys are going to have, great theme songs, like, John Cena or CM Punk or Cody Rhodes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to like those guys as our favorite, just because the crowd loves their theme song. You have to have more than just a theme, but a great theme definitely helps. And they definitely need to reward him with gold, after COVID. He held the company down when, there was no fans there, which is a damn shame, but he definitely deserves, to be able to be in the spotlight. To me, he's the best big man, that's in wrestling, and he has been for quite some time, since the COVID era. And, and then, everyone's going to have others that they like, depending on, in the ring ability and on the microphone. I'm kind of a Seth Rollins guy myself. I always have been. And, I would love to be able to have him, have an opportunity, for gold with the right individual. But again, there's just so many wrestlers now, and, not enough time, so they have to really kind of pick and choose, like, who's going to be the next guy on the up and up, whether it be for 6 months to a year, whether that be Jey Uso because he's so over at the moment, but like, the John Cena thing really, again, if he didn't go heel, nobody would care. So they had to make him go heel to get invested, because again, if he was just a face and going against Cody Rhodes, it wouldn't really be as big of a deal, But again, everyone is entitled to, the types that they like. So R-Truth. Shit, R-Truth has been entertaining for 20 plus years, man. Like, he's funny without even being funny. Yeah, the only problem is that CM Punk is great on the mic, but he's not very good in the ring anymore. He still can kind of hold his own, but he might be better than John Cena in the ring. It's like Cena and Rock, whenever they get in the ring, it's like, man, they've been doing this for such a long time. And Punk is a little bit better than, than those guys maybe in the ring, but still that, Punk isn't going to resonate with everyone. It's like, you got a great theme song with like Cody Rhodes and John Cena, but as far as like in the ring ability, like, the main reason that Punk is still great is because of his mic skills. Same thing with John Cena. The mic skills are holding those guys, still to this level. Rock, Cena, CM Punk. Like, imagine if they couldn't spit on the mic, they would be irrelevant. They would just be guys, Facts. And I think Seth deserves better than someone than CM Punk. Seth deserves like Roman. Seth deserves like whoever Seth deserves like Cody Rhodes. Like, Seth deserves like one of the top individuals, We need 2 more likes to get to 10. Hopefully we can get to somewhere between 15 and 20 before the streams ends. But again, I know wrestling ain't going to be for everyone, but now we need 1 more to get to 10. Hopefully we can get to somewhere between like 10 to 15 before the show ends. Now, if there was more matches on the card, obviously probably would be a little bit better of a turnout as well, but
just so you can get what you want, you make me seem like I'm the bad guy. The thing that you
But it's kind of funny, like how the top women now, like, people don't care. Like Charlotte, nobody cares. Bianca Belair, nobody cares. Like those two held it down, for a long, long time. But, once Liv got a moment and Ripley got a moment and others got a moment, like it seems like, more individuals are more invested, in others now. Like, even with Alexa Bliss coming back, if she got a push, like people would be more invested in her. And it kind of shows you, the shift in wrestling where it's like you might be the top dog back in the day, Bianca and Charlotte, but people don't really fuck with them anymore. Like, they could still have gold around their waist, but they're not going to be celebrated the same way as they were years ago. And that's facts. Yeah, well, they can both spit on the mic. that helps. And I like that they do WrestleMania in 2 days. I mean, they have so much talent now. It's like you almost have to. Now we got Julius Creed in the ring. This is definitely like kind of just a filler match. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. You haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. And we obviously are shooting for 100 in the donos on every single stream. Still waiting on that first individual to show some love. And then we'll be doing Mariners and Reds Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Even though the Thursday matchup is going to be incredibly early, it's going to be on it like before 10 a.m. my time. So still think I'll wake up early and probably do that, but not ideally for a good time when it's during the work week when people got to work. But I'm still going to grind. I got Julius Creed and Rey Mysterio here in the ring on Monday Night Raw in Sacramento. Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Yeah, Lucha Underground was entertaining when they did it. And some of my favorite wrestling is like Lucha style. I like fast-paced wrestling, high-risk maneuvers and whatnot. And, you obviously have, you've seen what Penta has been able to do, but they marketed him the right way. If this was in the Vince McMahon era, they would have buried Penta, even if they would have signed him, and he would have been nothing. But it's nice to be able to see, bringing people over from AEW and not trying to bury that talent. There's enough space and time through NXT, SmackDown, and Raw, to develop certain individuals. But again, there's not going to be enough TV time and enough gold for everyone, unfortunately. So definitely, sometimes you got to wait your turn, so to speak. Yeah. But you're probably not going to have too many cross, gender matches anymore, like men versus women, unless it ends up being something like believable. Hi, baby. My pup came in here to hang out. She misses dad. Lay down, honey. But it's like we had China back in the day. That would be believable, against a male wrestler. Ripley, could definitely do it, but there's not very many others that could do it besides her. Yeah, different era back then, though. And obviously, Lita had the athleticism, but, it's all about believability. Maybe with like Jordan Grace, like having like a monster physique, like that would be believable, but unless you have that physical build, then, it's not going to be really believable. And, they're probably not going to try to risk any injury of having a woman wrestle a man when they can build up the feuds, men versus men, women versus women. So.
New customers spend $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
You never had a sauce like mine. And you never will. Because my sauce is only for dogs.
You don't have a no-nut to make sauce for your dog. But you do have new pedigree Triscuits. It's sauce for dogs. Before I knew it was different. Before I understood what nuclear truly meant. Before I could use my mind to make a
We got a commercial break.
meant to be born for. You can be smart, or you can be nuke smart. This is no. Marvel's a little overrated. Spanish Marvel is much better.
Yeah, we got the statues. Pulling up now.
Don't draw this double for one tiny little picture. Hollywood. Hard to do this, sir. Rush delivery's not extra.
Extra. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, you got this.
Man, too many commercials. Stormbum in the building. What's good?
Cody Rhodes?
That's me.
As an Overlord Rhodes. In Clash of Clans.
Let's take a look at some of the scores that we got so far here. We got Pirates 5, Nats 3, Giants 8, Phillies 4, Rays 15, Red Sox 1. Holy fuck. Yankees 4, Royals 1, Braves 8, Blue Jays 1, Tigers 9-0 over the Brewers, Mets 1, Twins 0, Cardinals 3, Astros 0 so far in the fourth. And then Cubs Pirates. That's a very intriguing matchup. Probably the best matchup today. That starts in about an hour. I'm going to watch that. And then the Rockies and Dodgers wrap up the night. And then on the NBA side, you got Hawks Magic and Grizzlies Warriors tomorrow. And on the NHL, we got the Blackhawks and the Canadiens knotted up at 2. Stars 3, Red Wings 2, end of the second. Rangers and Panthers knotted up at 3. Utah Hockey Club 2-1 over the Preds, end of the first. And then you got Kings, Oilers, Sharks, Canucks later tonight. Nia Jax, yeah. She definitely earned the respect of the fans and the women in the back. You know, after being kind of a reckless wrestler and injuring people, she definitely had a nice kind of successful run, you know, after she came back and whatnot. And, oh, wow, holy cow. Ray almost dropped on his head there. Just cough drop, my guy. A little Ricola. Keeping my voice fresh for Mariners Reds for 3 days. Oh, Mariners Blue Jays on Friday, and then WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday. Wow, look at that. Look at the power. Look at the power by Julius Creed. Wow. Oh, but also Ray is like the lightest out of anybody on the fucking roster too. So, oh, I got always a big bucket over here, always, just because I stream 7 days a week. So I always got him on hand. Oh, nice Hurricane Rana by Ray. Plus, I kind of like the way that they taste, you know, almost like candy, you know, kind of like lemon drops from back in the day. But obviously, you're not supposed to eat them like candy, but, you know. 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice job by Ray. Got some Eddie chants in the crowd. Oh, nice sell. Good sell. And that's another big thing about wrestling that people don't realize. You know, if you're a good seller of moves, it takes you to a whole nother level. Like Randy Orton, as far as like the heavyweights, is one of the best sellers, you know, in the ring. Go back to look at his early footage, and and there's obviously quite a few that are wrestling today, you know, that don't really get that love and appreciation for being good sellers. Dolph Ziggler was always a great seller. They did him dirty in the company. They should have gave him more opportunities. You know, but it's not about just making yourself look good, but making the opponent look great and really selling the move. Creed over the top. Two. Yeah. Wrestling lucha libre style isn't easy either, you know, to go from like kind of a normal traditional American style and to be able to, you know, go that. Not every wrestler can do it. Well, flying headbutt action.
It's the single head off a Ray's face, not once but twice, just days removed from WrestleMania. On WrestleMania Saturday, man. El Grande Americano. Wants to embarrass the greatest luchador of all time in Rey Mysterio.
El Grande Americano.
I'm not saying what he's doing is right. I'm just saying that's.
I think I would have rather seen Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn one-on-one. You know, that would have been a better WrestleMania match, but, you know, the whole storyline of going lucha. War Raiders. War Raiders are cool because they could wrestle in any era, 80s, 90s, 2000. And a lot of times, you know, guys that are built like this, you know, Vince would never give them gold. And it's cool to be able to see Triple H, you know, give guys that are a little bit bigger and a little bit thicker in like that super heavyweight kind of category, you know, and to be able to give them the love and give them the gold. I fucking love it, man. Because, I mean, you could have guys that look like this and, you know, never have gold in their whole career. So it's pretty sweet to be able to acknowledge, and not only acknowledge, but reward, you know, guys like this. Very cool. Megan in the building. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Things have definitely been pretty light as of late. And thank you so much for your love and support, even though I know you're not a wrestling fan. Thank you so much. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. And we'll be live tomorrow doing the Mariners and the Reds for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mariners and Blue Jays on Friday. WrestleMania Day 1 and Day 2 on Saturday and Sunday. What would you like to do for photos? You let me know, and I got you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, that will definitely help, to go towards the internet bill and the streaming bill, which normally costs me, a little over $150 for both combined. So thank you so much. Really will go a long ways, as well as helping with like dog food for Paisley, just like the basic stuff that I need to survive. So. Oh, I mean, I really, really love you and appreciate you. It really means a lot. We got some people that will never donate to me, and we'll get people that will donate, sometimes, and we'll get people that will donate small amounts or sometimes a little bit bigger. And, it will definitely go a long, long ways. And hopefully we can get other people other than just you and Reflect to be able to support on a, higher level as of late. Because we definitely need some of the OGs to come back or new OGs to emerge. That's facts. But thank you so much for your love and generosity. It's going to really help out for me and Paisley and just the basic bills, just to keep this dream going. So, but let me know what you want to do for photos, and I got you. It doesn't obviously have to be wrestling related since you're not really a wrestling fan, and that is totally okay. You can come here and support me, and I really do appreciate it. We got still another about hour and a half to go of this particular show. And then tomorrow we will be live a little bit early, I believe, on Tuesday and Wednesday. They're in Cincinnati, so we're going to be live at 3:40 Pacific. Thursday will be super early at 9:40 a.m. Pacific. And then obviously on Friday, I think that'll be around like 6:40. And then Saturday and Sunday we'll be live at 4 Pacific for WrestleMania Day 1 and Day 2. I got you. And then if you want me to sprinkle in anything like Kraken related, you let me know. AJ Styles making his way to the ring. We'll hit you with the throwback. And we'll go through all of some of your favorites here. Some coaches, some actors, some Back to the Future. I got you. And then if there's anything that on top of all the regulars that you want to see, just let me know in the chat, and I got you. Appreciate you.
It shows you all your expenses in one place, and it can even help you create a budget, which I think you need. Okay. Don't worry about those 13 subscriptions you didn't know you had. You can cancel the ones you don't want right through the app, and it can even help you try and get a refund.
I'm loving the live betting DraftKings. Oh, man, money line spread.
All right, I got to make some more room here. I got some Back to the Future I can do for you.
Over on that too. Stepping up to the plate. Got it. Okay, now quit yapping about live betting while I'm live betting.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff from like different Comic-Cons of like the actual like DeLorean model toy, and then they're actually having the actors sign the car itself. It's pretty cool. Like I've seen quite a few of those recently kind of show up on my timeline and whatnot.
Formulas are personalized and prescribed by licensed medical providers 100% online. Great tradition with Hims. For regrowth in 3 to 6 months. Get started today at Hims.com.
We got your back every day. Others, not so much. Just look at the facts. We run on America's most reliable 5G network for as low as $25 a month. They don't. Fact that. We lock your price for 5 years. Not that. Fact that. And we'll give you a free Samsung A35 with 6 to any of our phone plans. So fact those guys right. We've got you covered. Get the facts. And switch
Yeah, I haven't watched the trilogy in a minute, but with all this Back to the Future talk recently, I may have to dip into that. Sometimes it's cool to kind of go back into the 80s or 90s, Goonies, and there's just so many different movies that kind of go hand in hand with each other, depending on the era. But I might have to go through and do 1, 2, and 3. Kind of go do a little marathon. I got you. Judah in the building. What's good? Throwback times. And, hopefully, obviously we still got a few months away from college football season in the NFL, but we do have the NFL draft, though, to kind of hold us over, which is cool. And then we can get excited about all the players that we draft on our favorite teams. But anything like toy related that comes up in my timeline, I'm always, going to be looking at, those things. Or I saw an individual that got like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle full leg sleeve on both legs from based off like the movies and the cartoons, and the artwork was just insane. Like I can only imagine how much money that cost, because it wasn't just black and white, it was color. And anytime I can see something like that, from whatever era, Goonies, Back to the Future, Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Top Gun, wherever, Terminator 2, like whatever it may be from the 80s and 90s. But I love that era and that nostalgia. It's my favorite. And again, every single day, I always go and try to go out of my way to watch something from my childhood from the 80s and the 90s. Judah in the building. What's good, brother? Yeah, over here, I know Brett got outside and said it was really sunny where you guys were, got outside with Colton and her dog. And we have the highest temperatures of the year so far, around 70 here. So definitely is starting to warm up, and we're going to have, pretty good temperatures, 65, 70, 71 for the next 3-4 days before we have rain. I think maybe around Sunday or Monday. So definitely will be getting, I'm always outside with Paisley anyways, but it's always nice when the weather is nice. And, the only bad part of that is, you get more kind of idiots that are out, being kind of idiots, when I'm out there with Paisley, and I have to be really careful, making sure they don't have dogs off leashes, and I have to be with my head on a swivel to make sure that she doesn't get attacked, or, we don't have anybody run up on us and everything. But overall, the weather has been great. Ooh, that would be cool. I mean, obviously they have a certain amount still, obviously, that are out there, but I know that, based on, the movies and the ones that are actually used in the movies, there's still a few of those that are on display at like a museum. I ended up watching like a Back to the Future like special where it ended up having an interviewer with some of the cast, and they were able to like sit in it and everything. So that's very cool. I actually just went over the scores about 10 minutes ago before you came in, and that was a little shocking. Oh my, 16-1, man, that's brutal. Yeah, maybe that's the special that I ended up seeing. Maybe that one. Yeah, and then the person that they had in the show obviously wasn't Michael J. Fox because of his condition. It was Christopher Lloyd that was on there and whatnot. But it was very cool. And then obviously you have, hardcore collectors that have tried to repurpose a DeLorean to make it as close to movie specs as possible. And there are a few individuals that have come pretty close to, what they had in the movies. And those are always really cool to see because they have all the gadgets light up. Everything works. You can tell people have that passion to put in a lot of money, but if you love something, you're going to do that. So, yeah, love me some Christopher Lloyd as well. Oh, really? Website, huh? For weddings and parties? That would be epic. The DeLorean company, yeah. And, even still to this day, I think it's still one of the, coolest looking, vehicles. Yeah, it may have not had long-term success, but just the simple fact that it exists and the way that it looks, and it's a part of, that nostalgia of Back to the Future, it all comes together. It's actually almost better that it wasn't, something that was like mass produced and still around today. I just think the simple fact that it's not around anymore, and they're rarer, that's what makes it cool. Also being linked with the movie and the cast. Oh, got AJ Styles here in the ring. See if I can find a good DeLorean photo here for you too. Do you own the DeLorean Lego set? Do they make a DeLorean like model Lego set? I would assume they do. And I would assume that would be something you've seen if you don't own it. Trying to think if I've ever seen a Lego DeLorean. I don't think so. But I mean, Lego makes everything.
Today, she's watching her first hockey game. And then before you know it, you're watching drinks. At Credit One Bank, we believe having credit in the world.
And I like all the different angles of it too. Like not just the front of it, but the side and the back. Like I feel like, every angle of it is, should be appreciated. Like I'll give you a different angle here. I don't think this one's going to fit the full screen, but you'll get my drift here. Like seeing like that side back angle too. It's just so cool. With all the gadgets and whatnot. Very cool. I got another one here. 1981 DeLorean. And I love, as being a collector, which quite a few of us in the room are, just to be able to, see something, that is old school that still exists, and with this kind of younger generation not really caring, about living, and keeping things preserved and legacy. Some young individuals do, but not enough. And it's just cool to be able to see things preserved from the older generations. Very cool. Yeah, that would be sweet. Heck yeah. I know you'll share pictures when you do. It'll probably be a moment where your DeLorean Back to the Future fandom will go to another level. Like a lot of times, sometimes you need to be able to go, to a Comic-Con or a game or an event, a show, and then it sparks your interest even further of your fandom. So Like I was sharing with my buddy because we're really big into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because that was our era growing up. And a guy made a ooze container, with a display like legit from like the movies, and it even glows in the dark. Stuff like that to me is like super cool. Like it relates to the movie and everything else. And some of these people are incredibly amazing artists and have the creativity through the roof. Oh, hoverboard would be great. That would be an epic item to get signed. AJ Styles goes down. 2. Oh, here we go. Odin just sent it. $160 for the Lego Back to the Future DeLorean. Oh, wow, that's cool looking. I mean, Lego makes everything, so. Oh, that's neat. Do you own that yet, Megan, or no? The Back to the Future Lego? That thing's cool. Lego Icons, Back to the Future, Time Machine car set. Huh, that's cool. I have not. Yeah, and I miss shows like Comic Book Man. Did you guys ever watch that show with Kevin Smith from Jay and Silent Bob? And then he'd have his friends running the comic book store, and they would always have these like epic toys that would come in and comics and anything like toy related. They had the show on only for a couple years back in the day, and there's a few streaming sites that I love that show. I love Kevin Smith, and I love seeing like comics and toys and collectibles. I wish shows like that still existed. I would watch it every week if it did. Like, I love seeing stuff like that, and I was lucky enough to watch that when it was on live. And I did see on one of the streaming apps, I don't know if it was like Tubi, that they had old episodes. I'm probably going to go back and watch the old episodes at some point. Nice move by AJ Styles there. Phenomenal one, getting a little bit of momentum here. Oh, the Baszler, Zoe Stark. Oh, crosshammer. Styles. Oh. Karrion Kross seems like he would be a good fit for like the Wyatt Six, just based on his look and who he is, and I feel like he's one of those guys that's kind of underappreciated, but the fans don't really vibe with him. Like, whether he's with Scarlett or not, it's like, he's got something, but I'm not sure if WWE is the company for him, Oh, nice. Oh, really? Shut up. You did? No way. Like at a Comic-Con, or just like where did you meet him at? I'd lose my mind if I fucking met Kevin Smith. I know that my friend went to a Comic-Con here in the Northwest and met Jay and got his autograph, which is pretty cool too, But I'm a big fan of like the whole Jay and Silent Bob and the whole movement and with those guys. Now we got Logan Paul coming out, getting boos, as he should. Really? How cool is that? Awesome. Did you, I imagine you didn't get the autograph because probably you didn't want to ask him, and probably didn't get a picture unless you would have mentioned it. But man, picture with Kevin Smith would be sweet. Like a really good human being, you know, a very interesting person too.
Bunch of people who weren't cool enough to live in Los Angeles and weren't smart enough to live in San Francisco.
Agreed. Yeah, he's cool without even trying. He's just a genuine, cool, you know, respectable dude. I haven't heard anyone ever really say anything bad about him, you know, and you know, obviously had a health scare and had to lose weight, and thankfully he's still alive. But I got to go back and watch Comic Book Man. I've been itching.
Hey, AJ, now, why don't we show them why our match is going to make money? Here's what you're up against.
Yeah, especially with like Clerks and Jalen Silent Bob, they have kind of like a smaller but a good size cult following that still loves that stuff. You know, like anyone that's associated with Jay, Kevin, Silent Bob, you know, and any of those people, you know, like it's kind of like a family, just like anything is, you know, when you end up having, you know, a certain group of people like Adam Sandler having his friends, you know, in the movies, and they're so tight with like Chris Rock and everyone else, like.
You just joined the WWE to take over. I joined to take over.
Oh, that's neat. That's super neat. Anything else down the rabbit hole that you want me to be able to pull up for you, Megan, for your dono? We're at 50 to go. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. And I don't know if we'll be able to get to 20 before the show is up unless we get a big boost, you know, but if we can at least get to 15, you know, that would be great, you know, just for the algorithm and the metrics. So yeah, Small Rats, Dogma, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob. I got Jay and Silent Bob on DVD, still in my Case Logic booklet. Well, Megan is giving free reigns, as she thinks, of anything else she wants on the stream. So Jeffrey, Judah, Odin, anything you guys want to be able to see photo-wise, you know, here is your opportunity. Oh! Nice move by AJ there.
All it takes is one titanium punch, and then it's time for the pulverizer from Logan Paul.
The pulverizer is a dope move. I'll give him that. You know, I'm not a Logan Paul guy, but that finisher is dope. And I saw like Undertaker and Bubba Ray in like that developmental show where they had this kind of bigger framed girl. I don't know her name, but she did like some brand new like finisher that they've never seen before. It was epic. I don't know if I shared that with you, Odin, or if you've seen that clip, but it's crazy. So fluid too. The Bubba and the Devon.
WrestleMania main event in the career of the second City Saint. Punk will be here with us live later on tonight, as will Seth Rollins and as will Roman Reigns. We are still awaiting the arrival of the original tribal chief, Paul Heyman. Apparently, it's not seen Roman Reigns since requested or he granted CM Punk's favor a couple of weeks ago. What's Heyman and Reigns tonight?
I'm trying to look through my socials if I can find it and send it to you, but I don't know where I saw it at.
Cody Rhodes?
Yeah,
That's me.
As you overload roads, you clash your plans, you destroyed my village.
Okay, I got you.
Now this was just a beginning.
They see me as an overlord.
I bet in rebound props on FanDuel. After all, I'm the league's greatest rebounder. Ain't that right, Chuck TPT? Incorrect. Well, top 5 for sure. You are 19th on the all-time list. What about scoring? 31st, and likely to be past soon. Assists? No results found. Best TV personality? Top 1,000. What about celebrity golfer? Do you really want to know? No. New customers spend $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book.
Mama, look. It's just like our new house.
Oh,
American Home Shield warranty. Leaky toilet? Fixed. Clogged AC coils? Fixed. Oven beyond repair? Ta-da! If AHS can't fix your covered item, then replace it, no matter its age.
a warranty. Smart.
Oh, happy family. Is that us? Too much? American Home Shield. Sign up today at ahs.com.
Stop watching. It's that time.
Fantastic show.
Oh, what's up, man? We're still trying to get that new place, right? Yeah. Well, check this. Table 5 is popping off. They were talking about all this new technology. There's a t-shirt that can button itself. T-shirt. For real?
And the pants. Yes, sir.
Pants too. We got to invest. I can check the best. My portfolios.
Oh, the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon. Yeah, but I'm not sure what the show is called, where they have the developmental league, you know, where it's got it's got like what, Mickey James, Undertaker, Bubba Ray, and they're like evaluating like the younger talent and whatnot and critiquing them and whatnot. But I don't know where the hell the clip is. I'm not sure if I saved it or not, but I should have. Normally when I see something cool, I'll send it to you right away, Odin, but I think I had a brain fart on that one. Yeah, organized crime definitely needs to come back for sure.
Riding shotgun, I got just a little taste of what it was like to race in the desert with a rat.
Normally, track is so fast, we're able to make turns out power. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie's Places is available now on ESPN Plus. Also on Hulu and Disney. Episode 4 comes out Wednesday, featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Let's go. Batteries included. I didn't know it had batteries with it too. Oh, that makes it even 10 times cooler. Heck yeah.
Shout out Snickers. Thanks for everything you've done for me and millions of others.
All right, we got Jey Uso coming out. We got another about hour left of Monday Night Raw. And we can throw up some photos as we watch. And then tomorrow we'll be doing Mariners and Reds in Cincinnati, back-to-back days at 3:40 Pacific. The Thursday game is on at like 9:40 a.m. my time, which is insane, but I'll probably end up doing it, even though it's not going to be very good probably for a turnout, but I still have to grind. Then Friday, they got the matchup against the Blue Jays in Toronto, and then we'll be doing WrestleMania Day 1 and Day 2 on Saturday and Sunday starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, and Easter's on Sunday, so I'll be back just in time after an Easter meal with my dad and that side of the family. And again, it starts at 4, and I'll try to be back by at least 3:30, so that way I can kind of get situated and set up. So.
The entire WWE universe is behind this man. He's worked his ass off to get to this situation. Won the Royal Rumble, traveled the long road. And now he's got a shot at the World title.
And I haven't forgotten about Judah. I got you here. I'm just looking for a good one. Day one-ish, Oos. The Nerd Forge. Yeah, the Dwarven Kingdom. Insane. Yeah, very creative. And then some of the other ones built a coffee table with a library inside, like all kinds of. I just love creativity and creative people, that kind of go outside the box and whatnot. I might have to tap into that. Anytime. Yeah. Just wish that the Red Sox weren't getting beat like they are today. That's just unusual. Nobody likes to, have a matchup like that, but hopefully that will be one of the only bad losses that you have this year like that. Oh, nice. And the Celtics are going to have a chance, to make a deep run.
I said what I had to say to come to last week. But I really wanted to come out here and holler at y'all. Yeah, my peoples, what up, Sacktown? My mama out here somewhere in the crowd. She out there somewhere crowd. But look, Goose. Everybody keep on asking me, oops, Jay, we don't mind that. I'm crashing out. Can't be crashing out. But I'm locked in. Locked in for me. Locked in for my family. I'm locked in for y'all. Check it out though. Hey, hold up. Listen to Gunther out here talking. You know what that made me feel like? He mad. No. You afraid. Yeah, Gunther. You afraid. You afraid. I'm gonna whoop your ass in front of 60,000 people for the World Heavyweight Championship.
even with the cadence with Jay, all he has to do is go back and watch like Stone Cold Steve Austin promos, because it's pretty much the yeet is the what. So if he can kind of just, tap into that, that'll make him a better talker. It's just as simple as that. Sometimes it's just about the cadence and understanding, you may not be the best like talker overall and to be able to enunciate words, but if you're going to be able to, keep the cadence right, it's going to sound a lot smoother. But he still has a long ways to go on the microphone. That's for damn sure. Yeah. It started rough for us too, but we're starting to turn it around as of late. But it was a nice Bray Wyatt Fiend costume with the belt there on TV. But hopefully you guys will have your moment like we did, when we ended up being down 5-0, and we found a way to score 7 runs and, the 8th and the 9th and come back and win against the Stros and won the series. And that catapulted us to a sweep against the Rangers. So hopefully you guys will have that kind of moment, the springboard moment that you need to get your season turned around. Yankees with the dub. Let's go over some of the scores. Obviously, Mariners have a day off. Otherwise, I'd be doing that more than likely. All right, so we got Rays 16, Red Sox 1. That's insane. Tigers 9, Brewers 0. So it's not just you. There's a lot of scores that are lopsided today. Mets 3, Twins 1, Cardinals 7, Astros 0. That's a pretty big deficit. Pirates 3, Pirates 10, Nats 3. That's a big deficit. Giants 10, Phillies 4. Yankees 4, Royals 1, and then Braves 8, Jays 4. And then the best game probably of today will be that Cubs-Padres game. Both teams are red hot and they're rolling, and that's going to start here in like 4 minutes. I might have to turn that on. And then Rockies and Dodgers is on in about a half hour.
Yeah, that's right. This is behind the scenes footage. My guy Foxy edited it all together. Thank you to the WWE that produced it and captured it. It is fantastic. It's on Hulu now. You should watch. Jey Uso is a hero. Baby, he's world champion. Continue to yeet as we take you to the stop highlight of the night. Yeah, highlight of the night is presented by Wixstop.
What a recap from Monday night. Penta's gear is undefeated. Some of the best wrestling gear we've seen in years. Especially last Monday Night Raw's gear. And then the bronze spear. Oh, my God. I don't think we've ever seen a spear that crazy. Anything else photo-wise that you're thinking of, Megan? Just let me know. I got you.
This Sunday at WrestleMania, the odds are stacked against you as you put that title on the line against 3 other men. So
I can sprinkle in regular stuff if you'd like. You just let me know.
biggest title defense of your career.
Yeah, Kathy, I mean, this is obviously the biggest title defense of my career. This is my favorite. Oh!
I kind of wish Braun Breaker was alive back when NWO was around. He would have made a great fucking NWO member. Black and White or Wolfpack. I got you.
Ron's gonna be all right. He better be.
We got Penta coming out. Let's go, Penta. Ring gear is undefeated. It's like La Parka all over again, but more athletic. Giving me that lucha vibes from WCW, baby. Let's go. Penta and Finn.
Just crunching my scales and I'm feeling old and captivated.
Commercial break here. So I'll squeeze in a few more.
Fix the rainbow. Your car is kind of a big deal. You deserve something you love. It's where big life takes you. Little ones too. This is your car. And sometimes your office. Oh, it's okay. We're good. You're going big places. Where are you going? The Car Gurus, we get it. It's the #1 most visited car shop. With the biggest selection of cars. We make sure your big deal is the best.
Let's see if I can squeeze in a few more before we get into this next match here.
The pepperoni back at Papa John's with more pepperoni and over half a pound of cheese.
So many orders for me to stack up.
I am here to work, people. Where's the garlic sauce?
He always here. He's everywhere. We're making you a shakaroni for $12.99.
That's right. I live here. WWE 2K25.
And we got Penta and Finn coming up here. About 45 minutes left of the show. Last Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania this weekend. And we will be live streaming both days, day 1 and day 2.
Last week's leftovers. Kansas State to dinner school. Laundry. Dirty. Bring the juice, fools. Bring the juice. Time to bring the juice. When every day feels like Monday, Minute Maid, bring the juice. When you have people as good as Cody, as good as Cena, is it ever going to be difficult?
Yeah, WNBA draft. Paige Bueka's #1 pick. Calvin says he's making a visit to the Atlanta Dream. I took a peek at it a little while back, but I've been busy watching Raw. Any other notable selections?
WrestleMania weekend really going to get started this coming Friday. We talked about the Pat McAfee show on ESPN. As soon as that is over, Pat and I head over to T-Mobile. We'll be outside with a host of guests as we officially host the WrestleMania.
Yes, right.
Always a lot of fun. That's why
Bueka's going to the Dallas Wings, #1 overall.
especially because of the things that you end up doing. Crowd surfing, offending people. We'll kick off WrestleMania in proper fashion. Cannot wait to get out to Las Vegas sometime.
I'm looking at the top 10 right now. Lots of ladies from overseas in the top 10 picks. 3 out of the top 10 from France, Lithuania, or Slovenia. Starting to look like an NBA draft. And then Haley Van Lith going to the sky at 11. I know some of the names in the top 10, but not all of them. Oh, Penta high risk on Finn.
Absolutely. Penta says you're in for something special tonight. You know, fatal four-way, WrestleMania Sunday. No champion's advantage for the champ Ron Brady. He's the first man to get pinfall or submission. Will become the champion.
Maybe we'll have like Penta versus Jay one-on-one after Jay beats Gunther. You know, Penta obviously is high-flying, entertaining, good entrance. Obviously, Mike's skills are going to be limited since English is his second language, but for everything else, he's got it. You know, he's got the it factor. He's got the look. He's got great gear, good pyro. You know, the company is behind him. Maybe we'll see gold at some point on Penta. Right? George got second. Yeah, Chase Elliott for me kind of struggled. You know, they're at Bristol, but he's still having a good season overall point wise. But again, you know, we need wins. Top 5s are nice, top 10s are nice, but you need dubs. You need wins. It's hard to win in racing. Nice kick there by Penta. We got Penta and Finn here one-on-one. Monday Night Raw, last Raw before WrestleMania this weekend. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. I believe we're pretty close to 10 or just over 10 at this point. I haven't checked in a while. But if you are in the room and haven't done it yet, please do. Oh. Looks like, what are we at? 11? 4 more to go to get to 15. So if you are in the room and haven't done it yet, please do. Now we're at 12. 3 more to go. And we're at 50. 50 to go on the Dono train. Nice drop kick to the face there by Finn. 2.
Enters into his 5th WrestleMania match this year. And of course, making his debut on the big stage. Finn Balor, former world champion. Dominic's been a part of
How's everything going for you, Calvin?
the big show. Has his first opportunity under the bright lights this weekend. Proud to be barking in Vegas.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't Carr. You know, that would be something that he would keep, obviously, a closed lip, tight-lipped, so. You know, and you got to think, it's not like I think a lot of the fan base, was really backing him, while he's been there. It's probably the most negative response for a new quarterback coming in that we've seen in a few years, based off the fan base. But, it's like, going from Drew Brees was not going to be easy, whether it's Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill or, Carr, no one is ever going to live up to Drew Brees level. So, kind of a hard thing to, stomach and admit, but we'll see what happens in the draft. Yeah. Well, it's not like Carr has that much of a career. He's kind of getting close to the end. I don't think that many teams are that interested in him. Wow. A little sling blade action. Yeah. Well, even half of the fan base thought that Rattler was better and they would rather have him start at the beginning of the year last year. So it's not like, Carr has gotten the love, like he did when he was on the Raiders. If anything, like half of the fan base was already against him when he got signed. So it hasn't really been a very good marriage there, But Rattler ain't the answer either. So we'll see if Shedeur Sanders is the guy or if they go a different direction.
Today, she's watching her first hockey game. And then before you know it, you're watching hers.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how the NFC South starts to play out with the Saints, Bucks, and Falcons. And if the Panthers can, catch up to the other three teams at some point.
People swear they've had stuffed crust pizza from Domino's before, so we invited some of them to a little taste test.
Yeah, well, let's be real, Calvin. You know this too. Some of the Saints fan base isn't the smartest. Some of the fan base is incredibly passionate. Some of them are haters, and some of them are smart, but some are fucking stupid, and they don't pay attention. They just want to be able to talk on the internet or with their friends, and you can definitely tell the people that are watching the games and reading and knowing the roster and the people that are pretending that they are, but they really don't know what's going on. Some fan bases, have some smart people that back them, and, some are stupid. I think you'll agree to that. So, but, anyone that ended up watching Rattler could figure that he ain't it, At least Carr was able to manufacture a little bit of a relationship with like Rashid Shaheed deep, so that way they could go with the deep route, underneath with Olave, AK-41, and Taysom when they were available, but it definitely didn't really fully work out. First 2 games of the year when you dropped 91 playing shitty teams, it looked good. And then, kind of things went downhill after that. So, I think with the 12s, I think it's more like, not really stupid, but maybe naive. I think that some of the fan base is smart. Some of the fan base, will be stupid, just like in any fan base. But I feel like, there's kind of like this glimmer of hope that I feel that some of the fan base has that may or may not be realistic, and sometimes a little naive, based on, team, building and players and coaches. But, I feel that the Saints have passionate fans like the Seahawks as well, and, you're never going to find a fan base that is fully one way or the other. Every fan base is going to have smart and, dumb, and they're going to have smart and positive fans, and you're also going to have delusional and negative fans. I mean, that's, I think, facts all the way around. So, well, sometimes it's just, wanting to have that hope that the players or the coaches do better than what some of the people are saying that are fans that are in like a fan chat. Some people are going to be brutally honest, and they're going to know and be smart about it, and sometimes, there's going to be this kind of naive where you hope that, based on what the smart people are saying doesn't happen, not necessarily so you can be right, but just that they do better than what that kind of what the experts are saying. Because most of the time, depending on the expert, if they are really one, sometimes teams can overachieve and do a little bit better, but, sometimes it's not about just being right all the time or being wrong. It's, you're wanting the best from your players and your coaches and your team. But, some people do know more than others. Some people watch more, read more, understand how the business works more, but I mean, being naive isn't necessarily a bad thing, but, I feel like, it's better to be naive than to be delusional and be, like out of touch, But again, if you're reading and you're watching, you can learn from others, and, hopefully it'll work out for the Saints and the Hawks. But there may be some growing pains, and that's not talking shit. That's just honesty, just being genuine. If the team isn't built completely or you've lost some pieces, you can't expect them to be Super Bowl contenders, right away, or maybe not even in the near future based on what you have or maybe what you lost. So all you can hope for is the team gets better year in and year out. And, and it's a fun team to watch, but it really depends on what the moves are that are done from the top. So I feel that's a fair thing to say. So, and again, there's going to be a lot of negativity and haters, but you have to see what words are coming out from these certain individuals. Is there some truth to it, or are they just trying to pick a fight? And it seems like a lot of NFL fans just like to, rattle the cage, poke the bear, so to speak, and just to cause, negativity and problems, and just to kind of be an asshole for no reason,
Disgusting. Shoulder just popped out of place.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes, bro. But, a lot of things, though, based on those people that say, oh, we don't want Shedeur Sanders, we have holes. But if they drafted him, they'd be buying the jersey. You know that, too, So, again, even though that they say, oh, that's a dumb move and we need more pieces, true. But, again, if Carr's not going to play the whole year, you need somebody better than Rattler, unless you're just trying to tank for the whole season and trying to get the number one pick as Rattler as your quarterback, and you're trying to go 0-17. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and pretty much any team that doesn't have an O-line or a D-line or a defense or good coaching or good ownership or management, you're going to be at a disadvantage, because those are the things that make the team go. It's not necessarily just quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Those things are overrated. Again, it's more important to have O-line, D-line, defense, coaching, play calling, management, and ownership. Those things are well higher on the totem pole, because if those other things are there, those players that you have at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end will be better, because the quarterback will have more time to get the ball to those guys. The running back will have more holes open up to be a better player, and the wide receivers are going to be able to get more opportunities, as well as a tight end to get the ball. But if you don't have an O-line or not a good coordinator or good coaching or good defense, then it's going to be a lot fucking harder to be consistent, and you're going to have flashes of greatness, but then there's also going to be flashes of disappointment, and it could get ugly. Double spear by Braun Breaker. Yeah, you know why Rattler got the love? Because it was anybody but Carr. That's really what it came down to. Carr wasn't a fit for that team, right? There was no chemistry, and it was an odd signing, right? And then at that point, it doesn't matter if it was Rattler or any other quarterback they drafted from college. They would have been about that other guy. Even if the guy sucked, they would have been like, let's give him a shot, because he has to be better than Carr, because Carr is skilled, but they just don't like him, and it's not a good fit with the offense. And again, when you already are, hated by half of the fan base before you even take your first snap, that's not good, So it was never going to work from the very beginning. So, but again, a lot of those people that wanted Rattler, are delusional, because if you watch him, he's not good. He's not better than Carr, but, some people watch games and some people pretend that they watch games and act like they know what they're talking about, I think it's just the hope for Rattler or anyone they would have drafted that it could be better. We got to find someone that's closer to Breeze, But again, the reality is once you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, you're probably not going to get another one for a long fucking time. Like, Hall of Fame quarterbacks don't grow on fucking trees, let alone a guy that has leadership like Drew Brees, So, but again, I think that's, part of it too. But we'll see what happens with your Saints and Megan's Hawks and my Bucks and the rest of our teams and Odin's Chiefs and everyone else that has an NFL team. We'll see how everything goes. Talk to him, Io. World Championship. Oh. And I like it that they're doing this like Japanese style promo. They should do more of this instead of having her try to speak like broken English, because some people aren't going to get to understand her. It's cool that they actually gave her gold. And I think based on like, you know, if I could have my choice, I would rather have Io retain, number one, Rhea Ripley winning, number two, Bianca probably three, you know, at this point based off this particular feud. But I feel like Charlotte and Bianca don't get the same kind of love. The fans have turned on both of those wrestlers. That, you know, they had all the love a few years back, but it feels like the WWE universe is looking for others to support now, even though they, you know, are still talented wrestlers. So, oh, Jacob and Breaker would have been much. Yes, agreed. Jacob thought too, and Breaker would have been better. Yep, agreed, 100%.
Saturday, Stand and Deliver NXT gets underway to kick off the day. Countdown for WrestleMania, followed by WrestleMania, and then of course the WrestleMania post-show.
I don't know. I mean, more realistically, it'll probably be Bianca winning, you know, or Ripley. You know, Io probably won't retain, you know, but at some point, you know, she's going to get her first Mania L, but I don't know if it'll be this year, so we'll see. But it just kind of feels like the vibe towards Bianca and the vibe towards Charlotte isn't the same as it was a couple years ago. And Bianca still has more fans than Charlotte. Like, they turn 100% on Charlotte. I feel like Bianca, it's not 100% turn. It's like maybe 60, you know, like she still has a lot of fans, but there's also other fans of the women wrestlers that they're kind of looking to disperse their fandom to other females that are in the up and up. So. And we still are waiting for Asuka to come back and Becky Lynch. And, you know, we'll see what other ladies start kind of climbing the ladder, so to speak. Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend for WrestleMania for sure. And then again, I just have to come make sure I get back before 4:00 on Sunday for Easter, get the meal, get the leftovers, get Paisley to hang out with my dad's dog, Lucas, on the property, run around and have fun, and then get back maybe around 3:30. And that way I can get settled in, and then we can do Mania day 1 and day 2. And it's supposed to be 4 hours for each day, so it's going to be long from 4:00 to 8:00, I believe, unless I'm misinformed. Odin, you would know. Yeah, I saw Lynch on the comedy show that she said that she's done and her husband is still going, but maybe not done forever. You know, it's probably realistic that she will be back in the ring at some point. Obviously, she's enjoying being a mother now and, you know, not working, you know, for the company. It's going to be good for her mental health, but not forever. I saw that clip too. And it feels like no matter what Charlotte says or does, she's going to be a heel the rest of the way, because they already treat her that way. You know, obviously getting kind of the special preferential treatment, you know, gone for a year, boom, you're in the like main event, you're going to have gold. Like, and I feel like a lot of the fans now, they're not going to give her the leeway anymore. Yeah, you're talented, but they want, you know, the wrestlers to earn it. And that's why I think like the Io run is appreciated, you know, even by fans that don't like Io. Like, it's kind of a cool thing. And hopefully Asuka will be the next one that gets a little bit of love and gets her WrestleMania moment. Yeah, but back in the day, she was kind of, you know, envisioned as a face or a heel, depending on who she was going against. But now it's like nobody likes her anymore, you know. And she didn't deserve the match after being gone for a year. You know, they just paired her up with Tiffy because they wrestle the same kind of way with the high-risk maneuvers off the top rope, and they have a similar move set, you know. And they're both blonde, kind of look like each other. So they're kind of like the younger version versus the older version, you know. They look alike. The moves are the same, you know, relatively, you know. And then you just got a young and up-and-coming star and then the old one, you know. So But triple threat should be good. It would be much better than if it was just Io Bianca or Io Ripley. You get that third wrestler for the double team moves, and it'll be interesting. But there was moments early in Charlotte's career where she was a face.
Cody Rhodes has held the title for a year. Can he continue to get it done over John Cena?
John Cena is just too slow in the ring, though. He's still really good on the microphone, and they can battle it out on the mic, but Cena is just slow. You know, it's like when you watch Cena in the ring or like The Rock in the ring, it's like these guys shouldn't really be wrestling anymore, but they're such big icons and names and so big, in the company and, obviously in acting as well. It's like they're going to try to maximize ratings and money as much as they can. And then speaking of another guy that's a little slow in the ring, but great on the mic still, CM Punk. Yeah, Stratton's terrible on the mic still. She still doesn't know how to talk on the mic, but yeah. They're really cooking this angle with Paul Heyman turning on Roman. Does he join CM Punk? Does he join Seth Rollins? Obviously him joining Seth would be the biggest surprise, but I mean, it's almost a given that Roman will spear Seth, and maybe Paul Heyman will be ringside and get involved and pull someone out of the way, and then CM Punk will end up winning the match, more than likely, you would assume. OTC Roman Reigns making his way down. Yeah, Penta's fire. It's like the first time that they actually brought in a guy from AEW and did it the right way with the pyro and everything else. But there's a few guys still in AEW that could wrestle in WWE and be over, like Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Young Bucks. There's a few. Me and Odin have still watched the last 2 AEW pay-per-views, and they were actually pretty fucking good. MJF, another great, talker on the mic. Yeah. The thing is, though, is that they really wanted to make it a surprise. They never should have had Seth and Paul talking, in the promos in the ring together. Then it would have been like, oh, it's CM Punk for sure. And then all of a sudden it ends up being, Seth and Paul, because then it would have been a big surprise because you've never seen them interact, and I feel like if they go that route, it still would be shocking. But if you really wanted like, oh my God, like the big surprise, they never would have had any promos, leading up to this match where you saw Paul and Seth talking with each other. Then it would have been like the full swerve. So.
Actually, Mr. Jalen, I do feel a little self-conscious.
Red and Dreamer. Man, the old school ECW days. I love it, man. I was actually looking through my Case Logic, and I have like 8 old school DVDs of ECW when they came out, like right when they were shifting from like VHS to DVD. And I remember going to Suncoast, and I fucking bought every single one. And again, obviously you can see a lot of the stuff on the library through, online and everything, but I don't know, something about watching stuff like on an old school PS2 or a DVD player, it gives you that nostalgia. Yeah, RVD. I figured that's what you meant. Let me go check up on Paisley here real quick. We got about 22 minutes left.
I am here to work, people. Where's the garlic sauce? Is it always here? It's everywhere. We're making you a shakaroni for $12.99. That's right. I live there.
All right, she's in the hallway with a blanket just snugged up on the ground, waiting for Dad to finish. The pizza. Oh yeah, I sent that over to my my friend Justin, one of my best friends, and he was like, "Dude, that would be an amazing road trip, like just to go to like New York to go eat like New York style pizza like that." Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy how wild they get with the size of the pizza and the toppings, and man, that's like I can only imagine what that tastes like, and I can't really eat that food anymore since I have my workout regimen now and everything. But I can have a cheat meal, where I can just go crazy for a day. I'll have to, definitely work out heavy the next couple days to burn it off. But you might want to make sure you still go to Flavor Town, here and then. And man, some of those videos that you sent from that New York pizza, wow, incredible. Yeah. I hear you, Calvin. He said 24/7, 7-Eleven belt. It would be kind of cool if they brought back the hardcore belt and, had that hardcore division. I mean, even if they only made it for like a specific show, like just SmackDown or something, but that would be kind of cool. I mean, the hardcore wrestling fan in me, misses that type of ECW style. And obviously, after Roman doesn't have Paul Heyman, he's going to come up with another new persona, new theme music, new catchphrase, and everything. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go with that as well. I disagree. Think about how many wrestlers they have. They have so many wrestlers on all these shows, and then the developmental shows, they don't have enough time for everyone. I mean, they'll be expanding the women's division belts at some point as well. It's crazy how like shitty Roman was on the mic when he first started with the Shield, and then got the swagger and the charisma, and actually can cut a decent promo. I wouldn't say he's one of the best on the mic, but he's a hell of a lot better than what he used to be. I'll tell you that. Going from one of the worst to actually being able to cut a promo. Trio championship.
Some people would betray me. Sacramento, you got any guesses on who that might be? Weissman,
Jade.
how did you betray me?
That might end up being the worst match at Mania. Not just because it's a female match, but I don't really know if the crowd is gonna be really digging the whole Naomi Jade thing, Like I almost feel like those two wrestlers needed to be in like a tag team match to make it kind of relevant, not just one-on-one. And I understand the angle and the whole build up to it, but I feel that has a chance to be not a sleeper match, but that one might be the worst one on the card, day one or day two. But hopefully it ends up being better than, what it could be. Hopefully it doesn't, end up being boring, but I'm not really sure how many people are invested in Jade Cargill or Naomi for a match like that. I mean, I would have rather seen Chad Gable and Sami Zayn one-on-one or, Randy Orton versus, and we'll see where we go with that. Jade and Bianca, yeah.
It was not a betrayal. I paid back a favor that I owed. Sacramento, I must be a little confused here.
You think Jay Gunther? I don't know. That one seems boring to me, bro. Like just the end result, Jay getting the belt, that, you know, the crowd will go crazy, you know, but Gunther's a boring wrestler. He's so generic. He can't talk on the mic. Nobody's invested in what he says. You know, like I said, you might be a physical wrestler in the ring, but I don't think it really does it. I mean, you know, if you're going to go for a tall wrestler, you know, it would have to be like Drew McIntyre, someone that actually can fucking wrestle and cut a promo, you know, but Gunther is probably the most generic, boring, talented wrestler that's in the business. He's terrible. You know, he's a decent wrestler, but the promos, you know, regardless on what he says, it doesn't work. He needs to have a faction near him to make it work. You know, doesn't have a good theme music, right? Can't cut a promo, you know, needs people around him. Those people aren't around him anymore with the little faction. And ring gear is boring. You know, like, I don't know, moveset is boring. I don't know, man. I feel that one's going to be kind of boring besides the end result. The end result will be exciting when Jay wins, but everything before that will be boring in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to see, you know, and it's not just like theme songs, you know, but you want wrestling, you want to be able to, you know, have guys being able to spit on the mic and whatnot. But this guy right here, Seth Rollins, you know, it doesn't matter what his theme is, he's over. Can he wrestle? You bet it your ass he can, right? And on top of that, you know, he can spit on the mic. You know, that maybe the most underappreciated wrestler that's been holding the business down, you know, even though they gave all the love to Roman. Like, Seth is, you know, the real deal. He's like Macho Man. You know, there's always going to be that Hulk Hogan in front of him, you know, like Roman. But, you know, again, it all kind of depends on where you lean towards. Seth is the man. You know, Seth could be the face of the company and, you know, easily could do it. There's not very many people that are more over or on the same level as Roman or Cena or CM Punk or, you know, Cody Rhodes based off theme song alone, you know. Yeah, but that's just this personal persona. He literally is showing you that he can wear anything, you know, even as ridiculous as it is, and they still will root for him, you know. He can wear Becky Lynch's closet shit. He can wear his own shit. He can dress like some other wrestlers. He can dress like himself, and it don't matter because he's got the charisma and the aura and the vibe. You know, it's the modern day Macho Man. He's legit. It's either you got the it factor or you don't. And Seth has always had it. He's always been the best in the Shield, period. There's some people recognize the greatness, you know, and it doesn't matter. He doesn't need gold to be recognized. A lot of people, they need the gold. He don't need it. He'll always be over, like on the, you know, 10th level.
It's for the same reason it's always been, because it's the right thing to do. See this triple threat match at WrestleMania? This is the biggest.
I mean, Seth is the best wrestler out of the three. Hell of a lot better than Roman. Hell of a lot better than CM Punk. You know, you got cool theme song, you know, but other than that, like moveset, I don't know how many people are like, oh my God, Roman's moveset is great. Or, you know, oh, CM Punk's moveset is awesome. Like, you know, really it's the ability to be able to, you know, talk on the mic, but they still can't even talk on the mic sometimes as good as Seth. Seth with Paul would be awesome though. But again, he doesn't need Paul to talk for him.
Like you, people that don't show up except for when it's convenient and want everybody else to do all the dirty work, then this business dies. And it can't be CM Punk either, and you're starting to figure that out. Because of this business is filled with little CM Punks running around.
Come on, Jesse. It's not Chad Gable.
Times get tough, only to come back.
It's a lucha version, not the actual Chad Gable.
Success, business dies.
But speaking of Chad Gable, what an improvement on the microphone. Probably the most improved guy on the mic in years.
Well, I don't. Because if this business is filled with people like me who will sacrifice physical and mental well-being to
And the cool thing about Seth is he'll always be WWE for his whole career. He'll never stray. He's like Undertaker. He'll always be WWE, no matter who offers more money. It doesn't matter.
but it thrives. There can be only one, and it's gotta be me. And as for that, one little piece that you haven't quite figured out. Favors don't happen by chance, right?
Oh, of course I know it's the angle that they're doing.
Are a choice.
But I mean, how many people are invested in that match? Nobody. It's kind of stupid.
And now Paul Heyman can choose whether or not he wants to pay that debt to me. But your wise man, he is dishonorable as they come. He is a scumbag, and I expect nothing from him. Paul Heyman is not in CM Punk's corner at WrestleMania by chance. Paul Heyman has made a choice. It's not just a betrayal, Roman. What you need to ask yourself, the final piece of this puzzle, he's not just returning a favor. He's choosing. You got to figure out, why is he choosing CM
What the heck?
over you?
How the hell does that happen, Odin?
Wise man.
Seth spitting.
He's right.
But the problem is like Heyman usually represents people that can't talk on the mic. Like Seth doesn't need him, to talk on the mic for him, unless he like talks for him for a little bit, and then Seth can still do the promo. Because Heyman's a talker. He's not just the manager that just stands there quiet. So
Roman Reigns attacking Rollins. For a moment, we thought Seth had talked some sense into Roman Reigns, but Roman didn't want to hear it. Acknowledge you by Jackal T.
you knew that was coming right there. Either a push to the face or a clothesline for him too. And there's just certain theme songs, whether you like the wrestler or not, that are just top tier. And CM Punk isn't as slow as The Rock or John Cena, but definitely you can tell the age is creeping up thankfully, he's still good on the microphone. That's really what's keeping him with the job. All right, Megan, thank you for your support. I appreciate you very, very much. Oh, spear.
The frustrations of the past year for the
Show's almost over. We only got about 5 minutes left here. Hell yeah, Seth with the chair. Just like the Shield days from back in the day. Too bad we don't have Dean Ambrose still in WWE, a.k.a. John Moxley. It's crazy how the Shield members are the most successful trio faction of all time when, you know, Hogan, Nash, and Hall had that for a long time. And it's kind of crazy to see each of those guys evolve to where they got Seth, John, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. Hell yeah, that's my dog, baby. Seth Rollins. Well, I appreciate all you guys very, very much for coming through and watching Monday Night Raw. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening here on Monday. I'll be live tomorrow, I believe, at 3:40 Pacific for the Mariners and the Reds going against Ellie De La Cruz. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. And I got one question for you. Well, you know, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Okay.